Okay, welcome to WASA Distance Education. This is MBF3C, Grade 11 College Prep Math. I'm Pete and I'm your teacher. So welcome to week 4 of our course. And so we're just coming up to the halfway mark here. We started last week, we started Unit 2. We're still on Unit 2. We're going to wrap that up this week. Now, it seemed probably that we made we're going pretty fast last week, but now we're just going to take our time, go through Lesson 9, probably take a couple classes to do that, and then Lesson 10 as well. And really, what we're doing here is we're looking at new ways to apply the different formulas that we looked at in Lesson 7, or sorry, in 7, and then in particular Lesson 8. Okay, so and what we're going to see is a couple of different variants of these formulas. Now, on a final exam, in case you're wondering about it, there's a sheet of these formulas at the very end of the exam, so you can use that for your exam. Okay, so you don't have to worry about you know jotting them down really at the beginning or trying to memorize them. Some memorization's useful, but I think if you're actually going to use these, you'd probably just look them up anyway, right? Okay, so we're on Lesson 9 of the unit material, and that's page 21, actually, in Unit 2, right? So we're on to Unit 2. Okay. So one of the things that we sometimes want to find out is if you're going to buy something, something really big, right? Now, if you want to buy an iPod or something like that, or an iPad, let's say you're saving up for an iPad. All right, you put $50 a week away. It's going to take you 3 or 4 months, right? Maybe you could do that, right? So you save up the money, okay? But what if you need to have a truck for work, right? What if you need to have some, fees to go to school? Maybe you got to buy some books or something like that, okay? Um, it's pretty hard to save up the money to buy a truck. Usually you need the truck before you can save up the money, right? You need it now. You need it, maybe next month or, in 6 months from now. Pretty hard to save up enough money for a truck in 6 months. So we're going to have to borrow some money. Okay? And that's really what, the way banks work, and that's how they make their money. Okay? So, and, excuse me, a house, things like that. So you're going to borrow money from the bank. Now you pay a little bit extra when you make a loan like that, but it's usually worth it, right? It's worth it. You get your truck right away, and it can be worth it to you, right? So borrowing money to buy things that you need right away and then paying a little extra for it is certainly can be worthwhile. So there's a couple of ways that we can, a couple of formulas involved with that, and in the last lesson we looked at the compound interest formula kind of as an investment, right, where you put a certain amount of money in and you get an amount back at the end, which includes the principal and interest. Well, in this case, we want to look at different ways to work out how much we would pay on a certain amount of money at a certain interest rate for a certain amount of time, right? So it's a slightly different thing, because when we were looking at investments, we weren't really looking at making regular payments or getting regular payments. Okay, but that's what we're going to look at in this chapter, where in the first case for the loans, one of the questions you're going to have is how much is my monthly payment going to be? Okay, so let's say that you want to get a truck. Okay, and let's say that you go to the dealer, and let's say you go to the dealer in Sioux Lookout, okay, and he has a nice truck for you, premium sound system, chrome rims, leather seats, crew cab, right, $60,000. Okay, yeah, maybe not a great deal. So, but you're going to have to make a loan. for that, right? And so you can go to the bank and they'll say, okay, well, we'll make you this loan. We'll give you, 4% interest. And then you talk to the dealer and they say, well, we'll give you 3.5% interest. And so you're not really sure, what your monthly payment's going to be. These formulas here that they show us, that can tell us what the monthly payment's going to be. Right now, the dealer will show you that, but as I said last week, if it's better to have an idea of what it's going to be before you go in there, right? And you can work this out, no problem. The formulas look a little complicated, but it's really as straightforward as doing those other ones, the compound interest formula. Okay, so there's two versions of the formula. Okay, so the first one, and this is on page. Okay, yeah, I've lost my place here. I don't know. I think I took the. What did I do? Oh, well. That's I guess it's. Is it Monday? I thought I had opened my notes here to the right place, so that's all right. Okay. All right, here we go. So that's on page 21. Okay. And there's two formulas. So PV is the present value. That's the amount in dollars that must be invested now, which in the case of a loan, this is the loan amount. Okay, so that nice new truck with a crew cab, the leather seats, and the chrome rims, wheels, that's the PV. If it costs $60,000, that's the loan amount. That's how much you're going to put there. Okay, but here's the thing about this formula. You already know the loan amount, so you don't need PV. The more useful version of it is the second version that they give you here, which is the R, and R is the regular payment. Okay, now it says withdrawal, and that's because we can also use this formula if we're, instead of us buying something and making payments on it, the other way to do it is that we want to invest some money and then get a regular payday out of it, and that's usually a pension or an annuity, as they call it. Okay, that's when we get old and we want to retire. We use pretty much the same formula, but the difference is that the bank pays us rather than we pay a bank. All right, but for a truck, we're going to use the second version of the formula, where our R is the regular payment in dollars, okay, and PV is the principal. Basically, it's the value of the loan, the present value. That's how much your truck costs today, right? I is the interest rate, as we've always been calculating it, and N is the number. It's the number of compounding periods, as we've always been doing it. Okay, now do watch here. Both of these formulas have a couple of little catches in them, which is the fact that the exponent is negative, if you'll see that. So you have to make sure that you do negative n. And then there's this extra 1 minus, and that's a common source of errors where you're so used to doing a compound interest formula, you forget to subtract the whole thing from 1. Okay, don't get too wound up about that. If you're working on your assignments and you set something up, you give me the P, you give me the V, or sorry, the PV, you give me the I, the N, you set it all up, right? You show me your work, right? If you have a little problem calculating it, it's not a humongous number of marks off. Just because I know that with just a bit of practice, you'll be able to work your calculator. The important part for these questions is getting those variables set up, right? Getting the problem set up, that's really where you get all your marks. Okay. All right, well, let's try this then. At the bottom of page 21, an example, and let's fix our example. This is a DVD player. A DVD player. Do we even know what that is? iPad. Well, I guess maybe we've all been around. All right, so somebody wants to buy an iPad. Okay. And you can use the iPad to play movies, so you don't need a DVD player. You can also use it to play music, read, play games. Replaces a lot of stuff. Okay, so an iPad can be purchased for no money down and 24 equal monthly payments of $18. The interest charged is 11.5% compounded monthly. That's 12 per year. Determine the equivalent cash price of the iPad. Okay, so what they're saying then is, let's say you go into the Northern and they have a bunch of iPads there in the store, right, in the display case. And they say, you know, a little sign, you can have this for just 24 easy payments of $18. The question is, what are you paying for that iPad? Is it a good value, right? You obviously you're going to pay a little bit of interest, but you know, is that a good value? Okay. So, you know, if they have a sign that says instead of that you can buy it for this amount of money, that's you'd be able to do this calculation. Okay. So how are we going to do this? Well, the formula that we need then, if we take a look at this, I won't scroll it up, but it's the first one, right? It's the PV formula. PV equals, okay, R, and then they use square brackets. It's just because when you're dealing with two sets of brackets, it's just to avoid confusion. So it's PV equals R times 1 minus 1 plus I to the power negative n, and then we close that square bracket, okay, and then over I. So pretty similar, but not exactly the same as the compound interest formula, but you can sort of see some elements of it. So we need the PV, so that's why we're using this version of the formula. Okay, so our R is going to be $18. Yeah, I know they have it right there, but let's just try this. So our I, okay, so what is our I? It's going to be 11.5%, 0.115. Remember, we don't have the leading zero if it's 10 or more. And there's 12 payments per year, 12 compounding periods per year. That's where we get the 12. We just leave it like that. And now our N value, there's 12 per year times, what does it say? 24. Well, oh, look at this. They're being a little bit sneaky here. 24 equal monthly payments, right? So that must be 2 years. So there's a couple of ways to do this, right? We could say, all right, that's how we figure it out. Or you could just say that as they did over there, they just say any is 24, you know, monthly payments. Payments. All right. Okay, so if you get all this in when you're solving one of these questions, and then take a stab at solving this, you know that you know I'll be very happy with that. Obviously, I want you to try to solve it, but don't get wound up about this complexity of this formula. Let's give this one a try though. I'm going to switch to blue here, and so our PV then. So our PV is how much would we have to pay for the iPad now? To kind of make up for to give an equivalent value for making the payments over time and paying interest on it, right? So, and that would help you to decide if they have a sign on the iPad that says, you know, you can buy this now for $400, or if they have a sign, you know, or they have a sign that says that you can buy this right now for $320. Right, that would make you, and then you know how much you're going to pay for the payments, right? You could decide which one's a better value. Right? So in this case, so our R is going to be 18, and then we have the square brackets, and it's 1 minus 1 plus I, and our I is 0.115 over 12 to the negative n, so negative 24. Okay, so far so good. And then all of that goes over our I, which is 0.115 over 12. All right. So you're going to crank that in your calculator. I wish I could give you a few tips on how to solve that. It's, you just kind of work through it one little bit at a time. All right, 0.115 divided by 12 plus 1. To the exponent negative 24. Now on my calculator, just to make it clear, on my calculator I have a little negative button. Other calculators have a plus minus button. Okay, most scientific calculators have a subtraction button. That's not the same thing as making something negative. So check it out on your calculator. Try multiplying, negative 1 by 2 or something like that. Try entering negative numbers. Make sure you know how to make a number negative in your calculator. Usually it's not the minus button on your calculator or the subtract button. Okay, so where was it? So I've done this part. Right now I'm just gonna kind of put a little dotted box around. That's the part I already did. Okay. Now, how do I do 1 minus whatever I have in my, some calculators will let you do that, right? You get your answer and it's 1 minus, but if not, you could multiply this by negative 1 and then add 1. That would work. Yeah. Okay, so what I have now is 0.20459583331 over, and then whatever's in the bottom here, 0.115 over 12. Now, if you could simplify things, you could actually, because of the way this works, you could actually say 12. We could actually say 12, and then we could eliminate that fraction. So 12 times this stuff. That's a little bit of a shortcut anyway. Okay. So times 12. So I multiplied this top thing by 12, and we get 2.455149998 divided by 0.115. Okay, now we're going to divide that divided by 0.115 and 0. And I get 21. I get something went horribly wrong here. Okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, you you see what I did. Now, see, this is where we're on step 4 of the 4-step problem solving model, where I don't even have to write the rest of that number down. It's the present value of this iPad's not going to be $21. So I look back and I try and find a mistake that I made. Okay, real. And before I go any further, I can see that it was correct to multiply that by 12, but I forgot to multiply this by 18. Okay. So now we can do that. Okay. So see if I can get back here. Okay, so okay. Okay, so I've got it back now. And then times 18. I just forgot to multiply it by 18. So this ends up being 44.19269996, something like that. And then divide that by 0.115. Okay, and now we got 384. 28 rounded off. So $384.28. That's what they want for that's what the present value of the iPad is, which means that if they want more for it than that, then the payment plan's a better deal. Okay. If they want less for it in terms of cash than the payment plan, then the less is a better deal. Right? And that's the sort of decision you can make. Now, that decision only helps you if you have the cash to buy it. If you don't have the cash, then really your decision is whether or not it's worth it or not. That whether this is something that you want to make a loan, 24 months, $18 a month, right? Okay, so all right, that was example number 1. Let's have a look at example number 2, which is maybe something. Example number 2 might be a little more cash price for the iPad. Okay, so example 2 might be something you'll see maybe, well, in a car dealership. Okay, so Pamela wants to buy a car for $35,000. Car. All right. Well, obviously she doesn't live up north. Um, so she can finance a car through the dealership at 8.7% compounded monthly. So there's 12 for 48 months. How long is that? That's good. It's 4 years, isn't it? Okay. Now that's something to kind of keep in mind. A $35,000 car, is it new? Is it used? Is it going to last 4 years? Is her circumstances going to change? Are her circumstances going to change in 4 years? Right, all sorts of things to think about when we're making these decisions. But let's take just a look at the actual numbers here. She does not have a down payment, so she plans to borrow all $35,000. Okay, now, and that's financing the car through the dealership. That they'll let you do that. If you want to go to the bank, they're almost always going to ask you for a down payment. So that's, yeah. So, and then she'll probably pay a little extra interest maybe because she doesn't have a down payment. So A, calculate the regular monthly payment. What is the total amount repaid for the loan, and then how much interest is paid. Now, it shouldn't be a surprise here if I tell you there is a question exactly like this on a final exam. So make sure you can do this kind of question. All right, and we'll do it. Now, I'm just going to make a new page. You can follow along in their solution, but honestly, I think to me, the best value for doing something like this is to then cover the solution and start working it out yourself, and then peek at it every once in a while. Okay, so this is page 22, and it's example 2. And so we have good old Pamela. So what we need here is, what do we have? All right, we know that the PV, the present value for the car, is 35,000. All right, so we're in step 1 basically of the 4-step problem solving model. We're trying to understand the problem. What do they want? Okay, so we have the PV. We have the I. The interest rate is 0.087, and it looks like it's monthly, compounded monthly. And our N, it gave it to us, right? It's 48 months. All right, that they gave us the N. So it calculates the regular monthly payment. So what we need, I'm going to switch to blue, I'm going to move over here. So we need the version of the formula that gives us the R, which is the regular payment for a given PV. So PVI over 1 minus 1 plus I to the power negative N. That's all in square brackets. Again, there's different brackets you can use, and you may wonder why there's so many different brackets on a regular keyboards, because mathematicians and scientists use them all the time. You got your round brackets, you got your square brackets, and you've got curly brackets, which is the shifted version of the square brackets. Okay, and you can use all 3 in some really monster formulas. It doesn't matter which ones you use. We just change brackets. If we have round brackets inside, we'll use square brackets outside, just so to make it clear. Okay, it's just a formatting thing. It's nothing really to do with the formula. All right, so we want the R for her car. So she wants to know, can she afford it, right? Maybe she knows that she can spend $250 extra a month, right, for her car. Maybe she knows that she could afford $500 for her car a month. So she wants to figure out if she can afford this before she goes to the dealer, because they'll tell her, but then she has to basically sort of let them know that the monthly payment is what's kind of concerning her. 0.87 divided by 12, and then in the denominator it's 1 minus 1 plus 0.087 over 12 to the power negative 48. Okay, so far so good. And I'm just going to, oops. All right, my equal sign. Usually, and it's another formatting kind of style thing, usually the equal sign goes in line with if it's a fraction like this, it just goes in line with the line. Just a style thing. Okay, well, can we crank this out in our calculator? Let's try it. So let's do the numerator and the denominator separately. Okay, so I'm going to start over with the fraction over here. So I got 0.087 divided by 12, got that, times 35,000. Okay, and so in the top, the numerator, 7.5, and then in the bottom. Now, if you have a calculator that has memory in it, and you know how to use that memory, you can do like M plus or something, but just make sure the memory's cleared out before you do something like that. So practice using that. Okay, get to know your tools, kind of like any, you know. All right, so I'm going to do this stuff in brackets here first and kind of work that way. 0.087 divided by 12. Okay, plus 1, yeah, to the power negative 48. So you're going to make sure that's negative. And basically what I have is just to kind of put this, I got 1 minus 0.706 and a bunch of other decimal places. So what I want to try and do, I'm going to use a function of my calculator that lets me subtract. I go 1 minus and then answer. I got something that returns the last answer. 0.2930141054. Okay. If at all possible, I'm going to try not to have to re-enter that into my calculator. It would be easier to enter this number, really, if I had to. Now, if you had it in memory, you could just recall it. So, divide by 253.75. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, whoops, take advantage of the fact that if I divide this number by this number and then find the reciprocal, it's mathematically the same thing. And I got 865,999. I got 870.00. Okay, I think they got something slightly different in, but sort of equivalent. Let's see. Oh, they got 800. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, let's try rounding again. I got 866.00. So that did work out too, exactly. So now what is that $866? So this is, step 3 of our 4-step problem solving model, executing our plan. But we have to make sure that we understood, that we had the right plan. Calculate the regular monthly payment. Okay, I'm going to just extend this page here. So the regular monthly payment is $866. Now, if what's your name, Tina? What's your name, Pamela? Now, that's a lot of money, isn't it? It's more than a lot of people spend on rent. The other thing that we have to think about if we want to know whether Tina is in Pamela, sorry, is in good financial shape here or not, is the fact that she didn't have any money down, none whatsoever. So presumably she's not saving any money. And now, not only is she not saving any money, now she has to take on another $866 a month for 4 years. So that sort of tells you that something, her financial situation not that good. Okay, so just, you can sort of figure that out, right? Now, what's the next thing? The next question is, B, what is the total amount repaid for the loan? Now, this is a very important concept. How do we answer B? We want the total amount repaid. Okay. And the operative word here is amount. Remember that? A equals P plus I. We didn't actually calculate the P and the I here. What we did was we calculated the monthly payment. But there is a relationship between that regular monthly payment and the amount, right? And the P and the I. We know what the P is, right? The P is the same as PV, right, which is $35,000, right? That's basically the original amount of the loan, right? The amount is going to be the amount is equal to the regular monthly payments, $866, times the number of those payments, which is our end value. That's 48. That's the amount. That's how much Pamela is going to be handing over to the finance company over the 4 years. So it's $866 times 48. Okay, so there you go. So $41,568. Does that surprise you? She's basically spending $6,568 over and above the value of the car to get it, right? So, which may be okay, right? It may be something she needs. And, you know, when I say that it doesn't look like she's in her financial situation's good, again, it may be okay. If she's decided to go back to school, right, because she, you know, didn't have a very good job, right, because she wasn't able to save any money, you know, maybe that's a smart move for her, right? Even though her financial picture didn't look so good, maybe this is her way of getting it better. So there's lots of reasons why people make a change like this. So, all right, so we got this, and so the answer then is Pam pays $41,568 in total. Okay, so that's the amount of the that she repays. And then the third question is how much interest is paid? Ah, well, we can be very clever now because we now know two of the three variables in this equation, don't we? The amount, we have it right here, it's $41,568. So look at that. All we need to know is the I. Okay, I'm going to extend the page one more time. This is an endless scrolling page. If anyone ever looks at this file again, they're going to have a page that's like 15 meters long. Okay, so A equals P plus I. In our case, it's PV plus I, capital I for interest, 35,000. Oh, and the A is 41,568 plus I. Okay. Okay. And so at this point, you can hand your calculator over to your little sister, and she can solve for I, right? Maybe. Okay. 41,568 minus 35,000 equals I. Okay. And then, you know, I guess we could do it with a calculator, but basically it's should be 6,568. Did I get that right? You know, some people can look at that and just come up with the answer right in their head. Okay. Okay, so the interest, now these are word problems. Okay, you know the name of the person. It becomes a word problem. The interest is $6,568. There you go. That's how much she paid in interest. So that was the amount of money it cost her to get that car. Now, is that a good deal or not? She's paying an extra $6,000 that she wouldn't, right? She could have herself a nice snowmobile for that, right? She could have herself a nice used ATV for that amount of money that she's just paying just for the sake of having a car. But you have to look at the big picture. Maybe Pamela is going to school, right? And you know, maybe she's also working on the side, you know, working part-time, and so she needs that car to take her around, and maybe that $6,000 is worth it to her. Okay. So and those are the types of decisions we got to make sometimes. All right, let's see. Did I get it right anyway? Yeah, okay, it looks like I got it right. Now, if you're following these examples and you get something different, check your work, but also check their work. there's enough mistakes, and every textbook's like that. They have mistakes. Okay, so the next one then is support questions. So we'll do a few of those because the next thing is we're going to look at RRSPs next. I don't know if we'll get started with that today or not, but let's take a look at a few of these support questions. Because really the key to doing these is to figure out which formula we need and to pull out the information from the question, right? That's step one of the problem solving, of the four-step problem solving model. Because honestly, once you have all the stuff you need written down, then your step two of the four-step problem solving model is devising a plan of attack. But for these types of questions, the plan of attack is we're gonna load up our formula and pull a handle on it, and it'll pop out the answer, right? That's the plan of attack, right? It's really it's pulling out the information and figuring out which formula to use is the biggie for us. All right, so Krista needs a laptop computer for college. Good, good. She can purchase one for 36 monthly payments of $68. The interest is 10.5%. Wow, maybe she must have gone to Ostagon or something like that. What is the equivalent cash price of the laptop? Equivalent cash price, right? So there you go, right? Maybe your auntie can lend her the money to buy it for cash, right? But maybe this is a good deal, right? Compared to whatever's being sold, maybe they have them in the northern store, right? You don't know, so we give this a try. So what do we need to know? What do we need to know? The equivalent cash price. Okay, that's a very fancy way of saying the PV, right? The present value. That's what they're talking about. Okay, and this is what I mean by extracting information. Sometimes they'll say it in a very strange way, but really, when you're looking at these types of questions, either they want to know the PV or they want to know the payment. Right? All right, well, let's give this one a try. I'm going to make a new page here, okay? And so this is support question number 1, and this is on page 23. Okay. So she needs a laptop. We want to know the PV. Okay, so what do we need to know? We need the PV. We need the PV. We don't know that. The R, the I, and the N. That's how we can organize this. You see, this is devising a plan, right? If we always set it up like that, put a question mark next to the one we don't know, then we can go back to the question and figure out what the rest of it is. Okay, the R, the monthly payment is $68 a month. All right. The interest rate, it's going to be 10.5%. Yipes, that's a lot of interest, but maybe this was a few years ago, hopefully. Now remember, if it's 10 or more, then you're not going to have that leading zero. Now, what's the compounding? It's monthly. Watch for that on some of these questions and on the final exam. I don't know that they're purposely trying to trick you, but make sure they might say semi-annually, which is twice a year. They might say weekly, which is 52 times a year. So make sure, we do so many of them that are monthly, and then sometimes they spring one on us, and it's easy to make a mistake on that. Okay. And now we're in 36 monthly payments, so it's just going to be 36, right? Which is what, 3 years? Yeah, 3 years. So I guess that's all right. A laptop should last for 3 years, but that's should, right? Now maybe Krista, maybe this is her 3rd laptop this year. Then you have to wonder if she really needs to be paying for something for 3 years, right? And some people like me, I've had the same laptop for 7 years now. So, it's just, I think some people are just naturally luckier than others when it comes to technology like that. Okay, we have everything we need. Now we have to pick out what formula we want. And let's go back and look at our formulas, what our choices are. Now, when you're looking at these formulas, make sure you pick the one from the payment, the loan payment section. Let's see, are they the same? Actually, no, I think they're about this. Yeah, they're the same. Okay. So we want the one that says PV. Now let's switch colors here. Let's try red. PV equals R times 1 minus 1 plus I to the negative n over I. Okay, so that's everything we need. Yeah, just gonna check who we get on here today. Okay, I guess we're good. Okay. All right, well, let's plug everything in then. So, our R is $68 a month. I just put it in curly brackets. That sort of helps me to see that I need to multiply something. 1 minus 1 plus 0.105, 12, 1.5% minus 36. Okay, so do watch the negative exponents in this section. You'll know because you're going to get some very strange numbers. And if you get a very strange answer, then that would sort of tell you it's a check your exponent. Make sure it's negative. 0.105 over 12. Now, remember that this form, this fraction here, you could rewrite that if this is the part that's up above here, this is the 68, and that's the stuff in square brackets. You could take the 12 and multiply it on the top and just divide by 105. The reason for that is that basically, if I have something here like, we'll call it x, right, divided by a over b, it's identical to saying b times x divided by a. Okay, it's exactly the same thing. Okay, so that's why you're able to make that. So what I would do is I just take that denominator and just stick it up in the top. Okay. Now, you're free to do it however you want as long as you're getting the answers. If you want me to go through it a little bit with you, I'd be happy to do that on the phone. Okay, and I wrote right in my line of fire here, and I don't know. Okay, well that was kind of ugly. There you go. All right, well let's try this. So 0.105 divided by 12 plus 1 to the power negative 36. We got that number. And then it's 1 minus, and I'm using my second answer button, which is like a memory button. So now I have it. And now I'm going to multiply that by 68. And then I'm going to multiply that by 12. So what I end up with is 21968 divided by 0.105. Because remember, we want the PV of this thing, right? So now it's divided by 0.105 and 209,215. So what did we just work out? The present value of the laptop. Okay. Now, it's obvious this course materials from a couple of years ago, given the interest rate a couple of years ago, that's probably about what you'd be paying for a laptop. It seems to make sense, but let's take a look at the answers, right? Because that's what it's important to be able to find those. So the answers then are at the very back. All right, this is page 23. So let's just go right to the back here. See where it starts. No. Okay, and here they have so it's lesson, what are we on? Lesson 9, and there it is, okay? So the answer that they give, $2,092.15. So I guess I have to go and find it again. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, okay, I got it. Is that it? Yeah, okay, well, look at that. Right on. And so you can see how I did it. So even if you just want to practice working out the formula and you have all the numbers and you know what answer you're going to get, you you can give that a try as well. Okay. So, but let's make sure that we've answered the question. What is the equivalent cash price of the laptop? The equivalent cash price for the laptop. See, I've just, oops, I've just turned the question around, right? For the laptop is, and then I'm just going to write it down. 2092.15. Make sure it has a dollar sign on it because it is dollars. Okay, make sure it has the right number of decimal places. Now I've answered the question. Okay, so if I was marking something like this, okay, you probably would probably be worth 3 marks, maybe 4, but probably 3. You'd get a mark for the answer, for the statement answer, like the words, right? You'd get a mark for getting all the formula stuff put together, right? And then another mark for going through these steps right here, roughly, you know. So you can see that if you go around leaving off the statement, you're kind of giving up quite a few marks. Okay. All right, well, let's take a look at the next one. And like I said, we'll do the RRSP version. Oops, we got to go backwards. We'll do the RRSP part of it tomorrow. Basically, the RRSP is the opposite of what we're doing, working out right now. Right now, what we're saying is, I want to buy this thing. How much am I going to pay every month for it, right? And you know, how much is it worth right now? What's my loan, the PV, the present value? And then, you know, I have to set up this monthly payment to pay for it over time. The RRSP or the pension or any other thing says that if you have a certain amount of money, you can buy an annuity, and you give them the money, so that's your, you know, your principal, and then every month or every 2 weeks or however, on a regular basis, they will send you a check for a certain amount of money, like a payment, right? So you give them 10,000 bucks, and then, you know, every month they'll send you 150 or 200 or whatever the investment is. Okay, and that's an annuity. Very often, that's the way a pension is structured. As a matter of fact, modern pensions, I think, are even more structured that way. And you know, that's how we retire, right? We just put some money in one of these annuities. Okay. But let's just keep going with these questions here, and we can look at that one in a lot more detail tomorrow. So question 2, some more question 2. Anna is planning to buy a stereo. Oh boy, there's another thing that they don't really have stereos anymore, right? I mean, people would buy an iPad, an iPod, an iPhone. You don't even need to buy one; you have one, right? And then what do? You get a speaker for it. Anyway, let's call it a stereo. She can afford to deposit $50 bi-weekly for the next 4 years. Okay, so that's telling us. So Anna, you know, maybe she babysits and maybe she does some hunting and she sells her skins or something like that. So she can afford $50 bi-weekly. Okay. For 4 years, that's a long time. If the interest rate is 7.6% compounded bi-weekly, so bi-weekly, what does bi-weekly mean? Bi-weekly means 26 per year. And if you're wondering where I got that, there's a table right at the beginning of this unit somewhere. We got time. Let's find that table. It's straight near the beginning. I don't know if it's the first lesson or the second. I don't know if it's, let's see here. Okay, it's a little before that. Okay. Oops, kind of used to searching things, but then, okay, I think, there we are. I think that's it. There's okay, so this is on page 9 of Unit 2. There it is, Bi-weekly? They don't have bi-weekly. Okay, bi-weekly. You might want to make your own chart. Bi-weekly, and it's 26 per year. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so and bi-weekly is quite, it says commonly used. Let me tell you, a lot of people pay their mortgages bi-weekly. I know I do. Right? Pay your mortgage bi-weekly because you get paid bi-weekly, so you can actually save money on your mortgage, which is a loan for the house. You can save money on that paying it bi-weekly because you're reducing the amount of interest. Between, if you go monthly, you're paying 30 days interest between each payment, whereas bi-weekly you're only going on average about 14 or 15 days between payments, and you're reducing the interest. So it saves you quite a bit of money. Okay, so that's that's the chart. I was showing you the chart, and then it didn't have the one, so it's good to know. Yeah, you should probably have this on speed dial or, ready to go if you haven't memorized them. Okay, well, let's get back to our example here. I don't even. Yeah, okay, so this is going to be it right here. And so we were just getting started, and we might even have to wrap it up before we get too far. But so this is Anna. Anna's planning to buy a stereo, and so we know everything we need to know here. What is the maximum amount that she can afford to pay for the stereo? Okay, interesting. I'm trying to figure out what that is. Do they want to know the payment? It's not the payment. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so she can, right, so this is the R, I think. Maybe, yeah, we'll solve this one tomorrow, but let's think about this. That's the R. So they want to know the PV, right? Right. No, actually they want to know the the PV, the FV. Okay, let's see. Yeah, yeah, it must be the PV that they're looking for, right? How much can she afford to pay for the stereo? Right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to say, all right, the stereo's $1,000. Here's your monthly payment, right? So we know the R. That's basically what it comes down to, and then we can work out the PV for the stereo so that when she goes shopping, like it doesn't mean that she has to spend that amount, but when she goes shopping and she has written on her hand, I can spend $999 on this, and then she sees one that's $800, she knows she can afford it. If she sees one that's $1,100, she can't. Okay, so let's pick it up there. If you have a chance tonight, try this question, see how you do on it. Okay, and then we'll compare notes tomorrow. All right, so let's wrap things up then today for now, and we'll come back to this tomorrow. Bye now.